The battle wages on as the fires wage higher. We now proceed further with this trial.
In the meantime, I'm still looking at the credits of the game, and guess what, Teo? Kenichiro Saigo did sound support, whatever that means.
Okay.
The name sounds familiar.
The composer of Yokai Watch and recently Megaton Musashi.
Nice.
He's currently level 5's new main music man. Basically.
Hey, has Megaton Musashi come overseas yet?
Not yet.
Apparently it's going to be on the level 5 showcase on March 9th.
I'd like to apologize for putting too much pressure on your daughter.
Oh, sure, I guess that works out. Fuck off.
Only your words can bring her back from the brink of madness.
Alright.
Okay. Espella, stop being mad. Stop it.
This is really what it is. Espella, just get over it.
Let's hear the truth, father.
Thankfully, it's not as simple as that, so let's continue with the therapy, shall we?
According to your plan, Layton.
To help my child actually get over her trauma?
You've driven Espella into a corner in order to push me to the wall.
This is kind of Layton's thing, yo.
I had no other choice.
You could have done it without the masked people in the trial.
Layton, did we? Was the mystery really worth it all? I mean, I know to him it was.
Please listen to me. I'm listening.
No, she's not listening.
You haven't done anything wrong. You didn't cause that accident. Espella did nothing wrong.
Oh, so the hesitation before accident.
You have suffered so much, thinking that you were Bazella.
That's foreshadowing, but not in the way that someone who's playing this for the first time might think.
You must take... I must take the blame for that. Sorry.
You, Mr. Catabella?
Yes, it was me.
In typical Ace Attorney and Layton fashion, it involves trauma, a sad
I sacrificed
backstory,
everything to make up for what I've done.
and yes,
well,
sacrifice.
I sacrificed everything, blah, 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 but all I managed to do was inflict more pain upon others. Is that not so, Darklaw?
Oh?
She has told you already that's not her real name.
Now that you're willing to talk, Mr. Cantabella.
How about a cross-examination?
Can you explain why?
Would you mind telling us your story? Yours, as well as Espella's and Miss Darklaw.
Okay, Layton. It all started when I was a wee little lad.
Fast forward.
Yeah, I know all that bit, Skip.
Very well.
Let's go
I'll tell you the abridged version then.
Let's go to your teenage years, shall we?
This story too
No.
began when I was a young.
Yep.
Damn it, we told you to speed it up.
When Milton and I were still youths. Look, I need to provide context for what comes later, okay? Just bear with me.
Hey, sure, they were full of hopes and dreams. Just like those other two
As
siblings.
you already know, we discovered the underground ruins.
As you already know.
Hey, they're also underground, Jovah.
Coolio.
Deep within them lay that accursed bell.
Also, new music theme.
The Bell of Ruin. At the time, we still lacked the knowledge to decipher any of the writings we found there.
We're busy. Oh, cool bell thieves.
Yep. And they thought, hey, let's decorate our
Just
bell
like
tower
any
with it.
true British person appropriating someone else's culture.
This bell is magnificent. It's bound to make the most beautiful sound.
It really is our brand, even to this day.
Go ahead, Theo. You can...
I have an idea. Why don't we make this the symbol of our town? Yoink!
Genius!
It's like
How
Bill and Ted.
How do you propose to do that, though?
You carry it. Let's build a bell tower for it. Then we can ring it on special occasions.
Yeah, me and Taylor are just assuming who's speaking which because the game doesn't specify.
Yeah, it's back and forth.
That's not a bad idea.
Then it's settled. When we grow up, let's do it.
When I grow up, I want to have a bell in the tower.
We'll grave rob this bell like no tomorrow.
Okay, just don't forget about it.
Oh, if only we had forgotten about it.
The two of us chose different paths in life.
That was still intertwined.
I studied management in London, while Newton devoted himself to the study of the natural sciences.
No doubt getting PhDs.
And then you made a fortune following the invention of a new anesthetic?
That is correct, yes. We both got married around that time, and each of us had a daughter.
Oh, remember? Belduke mentioned that he had also a daughter.
Yes, one other than Jean Greyro. You mean Espella was born shortly after your company gained funding?
That is right.
That's right.
Yeah. We eventually returned to our hometown and set about realizing our childhood dream.
It's a good thing no one else discovered the bell in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yes, that's because they really ignored that location.
Having built a top-built tower in the middle of the town square, we retrieved the bell itself from the underground ruins.
God, again, if this had been an Azran Society site here, he would have been so sore about missing out on that.
Unfortunately, someone already graffitied something onto it.
We aspired to make it a symbol of prosperity for this unindustrialized town.
So you basically built a Mormon community.
The bell was to be officially displayed during the annual fire.
Sorry, my bad, an Amish community.
It would be rung in the morning, following the night of celebration.
Pardon the interruption, but at the time, were you aware of the meaning behind the bell's name?
Well, I thought people were just trolling. I mean, I didn't think much of it. Obviously, we were not. Thinking back to my ignorance at the time, a chill now runs down my spine.
Mr. Storyteller, you're not supposed to
I
rhyme
guess I should
anymore.
be more careful. Sucks to be you.
You're a very good audience, Espella.
Newton and I went to the bell tower the day before the festival. Only one more day to go. We've waited a long time for this. Sorry, I just had to be like, one more day to go. We've waited a long time for this. But,
Then we have. This town will no longer be the same after tomorrow.
Boy, was he right!
Sure.
I'm sure this is not irony in the slightest.
Oh, God.
The bell weighed so much that ringing it was not easy.
You two carried that giant
yeah,
bell.
How did you care? Silver is not light as a metal.
They must have been
Tackled that problem by
weightlifting.
constructing a special mechanism, which we installed in the belfry.
Oh, basically
Oh.
using multimodal refraction sorting. Good.
Genius. The work of two geniuses.
I want to hear the bell. Can I make it ring? Daddy, please, let me ring it.
All who was there with us was utterly enchanted by the spell. Sorry, by the bell, sorry. She wasn't a bad child, but she was very stubborn and would rarely listen to me when she wanted something.
But I am sure that
Sounds
hasn't
like your
changed.
strict father, even
But
back
I-
then.
But
I
am
mean,
sure
we
that
already
hasn't-
knew that.
But I am sure
told
that
her
hasn't. But I am sure that hasn't changed in 10
Oh,
years. Oh,
Biscuit.
wait.
I told her a story to try and convince her to leave the bell alone.
Espella, listen carefully. You mustn't ring this bell.
But why? Why can't I, Daddy?
You know about Bezella the witch.
Uh-huh. She's an evil fire witch who uses magic to hurt people.
If you ring the spell, Bezella will come out and possess you.
Okay, yeah, I get what he's doing. It's that old parent way of, you know,
right.
telling a story to
Using a
frighten the
fairy tale to
kids.
teach a lesson
When
to the
Bezella
children while
possesses someone,
firefighting them, yes.
she uses
Hey,
it to
just
control
like that
things.
guy from Italy who made that
That's
one
why-
story
Yeah,
about.
just wait for the Disney adaptation where Bezella is actually a misunderstood figure.
Oh, God damn it.
There's a good girl.
Though, Again, part of me does wonder if Bezella was originally going to be part of the story and maybe would have been innocent still. Again, there's some concept art of her in the art book, so who knows.
The legend of Bezella has been passed around these parts for centuries.
I see.
It probably originated from beliefs of the tribes that populated this area in the past.
Or maybe
Yeah, not just physically, also the cultural appropriation of the folklore.
maybe Bezella was an Azran.
What I told Espella was just a silly story that I invented for the occasion.
Maybe Bezella was actually like an inventor for the Azrak who invented the flamethrower.
It was only meant to stop her from ringing the bell.
And from that parental fairy tale arose an entire town's lore.
I cannot have imagined that it would have such far-reaching consequences.
And the moral of the story is use protection. Because
Damn!
otherwise, you might have children to whom you will be a shitty parent towards.
Are you saying that this is all just one birth control ad?
Yes.
I'm not touching that.
Although I prefer the one, when it comes to birth control ads, I prefer the one where they just show a kid with his father in the grocery store and he just starts screaming, and then it shows up and use condoms.
It's like that bit in Adam's review of The Lion King 2019, where he theorizes that the reason Mufasa is much more of a dick and Jon Favreau mentioned it because maybe Jon Favreau has daddy issues.
Oh god.
So,
No, but don't you
have
see-
a house.
No, don't you see, Teo? It's more so that he's a shitty brother because he nicknamed his brother Scar after he gets wounded. So...
Anyway,
Moving on.
moving on, yeah.
I hate that show.
Dependent.
Yes, it belonged to my mom.
Lady not appearing in this game.
She's dead.
She's dead because
At
this is a
least
level
show a
5 game,
picture of her.
so... We needed to limit access to the bell, so we made it 2 keys. She died at
I
level 5
know it's a
items.
tradition of the Layton series since Pandora's Box, but
We
goddamn.
decided to make them into pendants, and each gave one to our respective
Is
wives.
is
And-
Akira Hino a Disney fan?
Possibly? I mean...
Let's not
Oh, funny,
forget
in
how
order to
Disney
access the
thrive
belfry.
off of dead parents as well.
I saw you and Mr. Belduke use them. So I told Eve to meet me at the bell tower.
Daddy says Bezella will come out if I ring the bell, but if I do it just a little,
Just
Yeah,
a
sure,
little.
child.
I want.
I'm
to
just
find
gonna
out
poke
what
it.
festival is going on.
So the moral of the story is don't be a naughty girl.
No, it means keep an eye on your children.
Yeah.
That's right. Her father trusted that she would be obedient.
That was his
Yes,
first
I thought.
mistake.
It's like the scientist in the thing question research comic. Oh, we're gonna be careful.
You are Mr. Belduke's daughter.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well done, Inquisitor.
Yep.
Which I'm guessing, considering Jean is probably in the audience, makes for conflicting feelings.
Yep.
I was almost afraid you would fail to make the connection.
What in the...
Judge,
Exactly.
we should be used to it at this point.
This is too much for one day!
I agree.
Don't worry, Judge, there's gonna be a
remember,
test later.
Remember, Teo, this is not the same judge from the original trilogy, so he is not quite as used to this as
I'm
the
talking
I
Talking
think
just
Teo
about the
means
single
that this
night,
judge should be used to
Yeah,
this at this
single
point.
night alone. Like, we had enough already, what's one more to the pile?
Yes, my real name is Eve Belduke. I'm the alchemist's daughter.
But that's the thing.
And meanwhile, Jean Grey's thinking, wait, does this mean that I'm actually the stepsister of the Great High Inquisitor?
Congratulations.
Hooray.
I also sneaked out of my house that evening, clutching my mother's pendant in my hand. I did just as you asked me to. Did I not, Espella?
Oh, I see. So Espella was the one in charge back then.
Also, the way she's saying that is a bit deflecting.
Espella, my mum's going to be so angry if she notices I took the pendant. Don't worry so much. I just really want to ring that bell.
What could possibly go wrong from just ringing the bell?
So, like father, like daughter. Just like the storyteller was like, I want to touch that bell, I want to ring it.
Without a doubt, the apple did not fall far from the tree there. So the bell was rung, and well, you know what happened then.
Also about the extra detail that the sound has to be shrieking just to confirm, solidify that it's a bad thing.
It's to show that bell is made of pure evil.
Because of me, the town, and everyone in it.
Meanwhile, Faye is looking at her first time.
They either burned to death or were suffocated.
They're all gone.
No, honey, they're just sleeping.
Jovah, that's...
No, don't just... No, don't
okay,
just see us, Espella.
it's out of context, but you kinda sorta said almost the ending of Sean Dark.
No, it's not your fault. Stop blaming yourself. No, but don't you see Espella? Everybody was evacuated right on time.
Supposedly, the former inhabitants of this area also used to fall unconscious upon the sound of that bell.
Hopefully they were unconscious enough so that they didn't feel themselves burning alive.
Perhaps they experienced a similar nightmare while they were burning.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. It is possible.
It was I who brought the bell of ruin.
The one to blame for this calamity is not some witch. It's me! Well, okay, at least he admits it. I'm to blame, okay? Stop blaming my daughter.
With all due respect, sir, tell
I
that
brought
to your
destruction
daughter.
from this town.
No, you didn't. I'm the one who fucked up. But okay, at least now he's at the very least doing something good. Like, look, you didn't do this spell. I'm the one who fucked up, okay? Not you.
I am Espella.
Espella.
You said that so many times it's lost to me.
Espella, you're going to drive your dad crazy if you keep repeating that.
It's not about you, asshole!
What's this? I guess it's Darklaw.
Yeah, that's Darklaw.
I assume it's her because, like, that's usually a laugh she's done before, so. Seeing you like this is giving me a strong feeling of deja vu.
Oh, have we been here before?
You're not helping, Darklaw.
No, I'm pretty sure she's the bad guy, so I'm not sure she's trying to help.
Eve, how can you be so evil? Are you happy now?
Oh my god, is
Darklaw, Eve, evil.
Is that why the name is like the fuck off?
Wait, what?
I just got it, evil. That's the fun, evil.
I'm afraid we're in the
All
dark.
these years, and I still find ways to cringe.
I don't know if that...
Teo, allow me to remind you who are the two men who conceived this game. I mean, are you really surprised?
Wait,
But hold on, you mentioned only 4 people.
only
This collab was a
4?
mistake.
Something for trash? No, not really.
Espella and Eve, who were in the belfry. I mean, get Takumi and Hino together, there's gonna be a shit ton of puns. That was just a natural consequence.
I'm actually surprised
And
we
you
didn't have more puns in the grand scheme, honestly. It feels like they were very much restraining themselves.
But yeah, for some reason the Storyteller and the Newton Belduc were not present at the festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where were you at the time, if you'll permit my asking?
Coke and Bitches party, of course.
Why wasn't I
We were
invited?
investigating those fateful ruins. That's why we didn't notice anything until it
What
was
did
too
you
late.
thought you were missing from that?
Well, to be fair, a treasure trove discovery like that is bound to have a ton of stuff in there.
More like the
It was getting near the time in which we planned during the bell, so we headed towards the town.
like it's a matter of priority. You have the fire festival. My idea is celebrate and then the morning after you do it.
Then we saw the town had been burned to ashes. The air shivered. Maybe they're not particularly big on parties.
In typical absent-minded professor modes, they lost
It
track
can
of
be a
time.
problem with schedule sleeping or something. The Storyteller studied management.
Okay, to his credit, they probably just lost track of time while they were exploring.
We searched for survivors, sick with anxiety. Eventually we found our daughters in the bell tower.
Oh, crap. That means that their mothers died in the fire.
Off screen, and we never even see what they look like. Great.
To be fair, they're not important to the story.
I know, but even a photo would probably be nice.
Spell was unresponsive. Our relief at having found them filled with terror caused by the disaster.
Also, by the way, since we were LARPing, everyone was in classic costume.
The worst night of my life ended, pierced with the first rays of sunshine. But then, it seemed Espella was already lost to us. We had lost her to Bazella.
Yeah, she kind of went into a living coma state.
She wouldn't speak, eat, or even leave her room. She thought she was Bazella, and that she had destroyed the town. I couldn't get that out of her head.
So I created her a third personality and left her to the village of Laha. Oh, wait.
So I called a therapist.
What she saw from the bell tower must have been so terrifying.
Remember, Lives, apparently therapists do not exist in this universe.
That's bullshit.
But
Okay.
it wasn't shock from what she had seen. My own words had put her in that state.
My best guess is that their reasoning was that they didn't want the 40s to get the wrong idea.
And I only not told her that stupid story.
Although granted, things get a little iffy when we learn another plot detail later on.
We had been grasping at straws, trying to find a way to save Espella's mind.
Again, I won't mention it over and over, otherwise I'll be as repetitive as a speller.
But whatever we did, her eyes would remain impassive and empty.
To
Like
give
they
us
are now.
To give Espella's credit, she doesn't really start getting repetitive until the third trial, but
To
yeah.
mention, there's
In the
an
end, I
actual
came
good
upon
reason for that.
Upon a certain idea that offered us a glimpse of hope.
What was it? The suspense is too much for my aging heart.
Are
Good
you
girl
ready
so far,
for you?
Judge, you can do it.
Are you ready for yet another twist that will turn everything on its head, Your Honor?
I believe I may know where it was. It was, well, one of two ways to get through to little Espella.
Massive LARPing.
Inquisition, what are you talking about?
It's a good question. But yeah, no. I will say this. I have my issues with Espella, but Estelle did point out part of the reason she is going on about this stuff is because she has mental trauma dealing with it. That doesn't excuse all the issues with her, though, as I will point out,
Well,
but
pretty much almost the entirety of her characterization is basically out of her control to begin with.
which kinda does hurt her as a character, but I'll get more to that later. For now, this bit.
Indeed. You are wrong. Even the great Professor Layton can err, it would seem.
R.
Oh,
I love it, Jovah took every opportunity for Layton to fuck up, but none of the ones with Phoenix says.
Yo, while I'm being nicer to this ending, it still drives me up a wall. So honestly,
I'm just saying, I'm noticing a lack of equality in this crossover.
Well, here's the thing. Even when you play a perfect run with Phoenix, people always act like he messes up anyways, so in a sense it evens out. Phoenix's mystery, for Layton's few bouts of wounded pride.
Sure.
If you're going to console him, you should probably wipe that stupid grin off your face first.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Maya.
Nah, Maya's enjoying this just as much, I believe.
I don't know why, but I can't help it.
Phoenix, you really need therapy yourself.
We all learn from our mistakes, and we go down with the right answer.
Yeah, let's
Stood next to Maya and opposite Layton. Everyone in this room needs fucking therapy.
It was the one of two ways to get through to little
And you-
Espella.
Oh, group therapy.
Sure, you want to know the sad thing? Phoenix is probably one of the best off of the main Ace Attorney characters. Like, he's the only one who, as far as we know, nothing bad has happened to or with his parents. He got saved from that incident back in his childhood. Meanwhile, everyone else has suffered massive massive trauma in their childhoods here and there.
Yeah, how many trauma points does Apollo have at this point?
Remember, Shiroi,
20.
Edgeworth in the first Ace Attorney game never went for therapy either.
Well, to be fair, that's because he got adopted by the man who killed his father, so that probably
And
didn't
who
help.
gaslit him and bullied him for his whole life.
Picture book.
But yeah, the picture that Layton and Luke found in the Spella's tower.
The illustrations and handwriting are truly exquisite.
Almost as if they were written by a Sword storyteller.
That's the first story I wrote. I made it for Espella after that dreadful fire.
The first story. Isn't that the title of the epilogue?
Ooh, the storyteller's first story.
Oh boy, we get to see the prototypes!
It was but a simple children's story. You see, I just had to switch careers and become a writer. The plot was very straightforward. Townsfolk joined forces to banish evil witches who served Bazella. I took inspiration from that one segment from Holy Grail.
Espella, do you understand now? You aren't Bazella.
Also, the storyteller
Bazella
without
is
a
somewhere
beard.
out there,
I
sending
know,
a
right?
which is
He looks
to do
like
bad
Sephiroth.
things to the people of our town.
Well, with shorter hair.
Okay, mate, you do realise that doing this kind of thing fucked things up the first time. You're doing it a second time.
Okay. To be
Not to
fair,
mention, I don't remember if it was written with the the hallucinogenic ink or not.
Look, Espella was mentally broken and I couldn't get through to her any other way. No other way.
Sure.
I talked to her as if magic and witches were real.
Okay.
Not wanting any mention of that.
all it would have taken was just one line saying, I took her to a therapist, but it didn't work.
Yeah, but that line's not in the game, is it? So,
No,
I'm sorry.
no,
I'm gonna
it's
break
not.
up therapy all the time. Well, again, not all the time, but you know what I mean.
Go on, Pedro.
Espella spoke to me for the first time in so many days. I was beyond myself with joy and replied without thinking.
He does admit he didn't think this through the best.
To say the least.
Oh, yes, they are. They're hiding in the town, among the people.
But it's just a fairy tale.
Go on.
Now, in hindsight, I see what an utter fool I was. Irreversible mistake yet again.
Okay. I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
No, it's
I
not.
could see this maybe working as the
Everything
idea of a
your daddy
father
loves.
desperately
That's
trying to
true.
help his daughter and not thinking things through and
It
getting
has
her
the
a
vibes of a
therapist.
fairy tale in itself,
The bad
admittedly.
witches
So,
get their
yeah, I
demons.
won't act like
I
this
can write a story
absolutely
about it.
does not work. This could work here. Here's what I would have done though. Maybe, okay, for the sake of the story, yes, we know he can't really get her a therapist afterwards. Although I will say things do get iffy when a certain plot point arises, in which point I wonder, dude, you had like one of the easiest outs for this. Still, maybe we can chalk this up to him and others not thinking things out as
The
well.
message also behind it is clear, which is always very important in a story that's usually written by a key hero. Do not lie, because a lie begets a bigger lie until it's basically a bubble that pops.
I will give the story credit, they do call him out for that though. Like, it's a classic bout of good intentions not leading to the best of outcomes.
Oh, and by the way, yes, both Newton and Eve were scarred too, but they're not important, aren't they?
Oh, we'll get to them later. Oh boy, will we
Isn't
ever.
that right, Eve?
Even though we're still calling you Darklaw for some
Yeah, the
reason.
game could actually give us the courtesy.
My father and I repaired a building that had survived the fire and continued to live in this town.
I just have one question. You knew that
Why?
Espella was traumatized, so why did none of you think to knock down the bell tower?
This is like the Silent Hill comic, but as a person traumatized by it, and the therapist literally drags her back to it, to there.
At the very
Espella
least,
wasn't.
sorry. At the very least,
No,
melt.
no, it's fine.
At the very least, melt down the silver bell.
Hey, Shiroi. It's like that therapist in season 2 of Chucky. You had a problem with a killer doll. Let me show you this
I'd
doll
like to make
help.
this story real.
Unfortunately,
Willing to help you do so.
unfortunately, stuff like that is what can kill a story like this. When you have an easier answer, but the characters decide to do, you know what? I'm gonna make the most elaborate, overly complicated method ever.
But
And,
yeah,
and fuck everything else.
the idea of the town surprisingly instead was of Belduke instead.
Mm-hmm.
A story about evil-doing witches getting caught and punished, and Bezella, the source of them all.
It all started as a little show being played in front of young Espella.
Again, just to
Were you paying
reiterate,
attention,
this is
Espella?
a story that the storyteller
Witches
created
got what they
exclusively out of
deserve,
thin air,
and peace
but he
has
still
been
makes sure to
restored to the
mention that
town.
only women can be witches.
Well, to be fair, that's the case with the terminology. With men, a male witch is a warlock.
I'm just saying, he could have easily had the open way to not be a sexist asshole no matter.
Like, is he mad that his wife left him or something?
No,
He's
sure,
not
his
reason
wife
she's
died in the
Right.
fire.
Yes, quote-unquote died.
She did die.
She got out of Dodge.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
The-
to the
Sure.
afterlife.
Oh my
Sure,
god.
Remember, this is a...
No, don't you see? The plot thickens. It turns out his wife saw the opportunity with the fire and decided to skip town and start a new life.
So
Because
she just quote-unquote died the same way Zuko's mother died.
Sure,
She's living in London now.
Sure, remember, this is a level 5 game. If a mother's not around, you can just safely assume that she died.
I'm
Let's
curious,
face it.
Tio, have you read the search? Because,
No, but from what I've heard from people, my headcanon probably sounded better.
I could continue writing stories about witches. Even I would act them out for a spell. Okay, if you'll be the witch, and I'll be
The
the
knight.
swordsman who kills them. Yeah.
I guess Belduke was Bezella in that picture.
And gradually, the number of characters in my stories increase.
And how conveniently a pharmaceutical company wanted to intervene.
That
Yeah.
was, of course, largely due to the ongoing reconstruction of the town.
How much reconstruction?
Pretty much all of it.
It wasn't anything on a big scale. I simply paid people to move in and act out their roles.
Until it grew into something more.
But I began to think that I would need more than that. The story had to be real.
So we've all been living Espella's therapy session.
Very horrible one at that.
To make a lie seem true, you resorted to even more lies.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Lies and we get more lies, mate.
Yes. I was certain that was the only way. The only way, damn it!
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure.
The only
Sure.
way. Not knocking down the bell tower or
How did
anything.
I do so? I remembered about Newton's research.
He was working on a certain medicine.
Oh boy. It was a kind of tranquilizer made from local plants that he was testing at the time.
He ate one by
Ah.
mistake. He ate one by mistake.
It's the one that they use in Freddy vs. Jason to keep people from sleeping, but still let them sleep.
But it was difficult to put into practical use. The substance had a danger of causing unconsciousness and hypnosis.
Oh,
Hypnosis,
that's
very
one heck of a
effective.
side effect.
I can see how that could be abused to cause much harm. Suppose you get thrown into the wrong
You know,
Any kind of medicine can do that, John.
You know, that must be interesting. Now get the latest in soothing cream. Warning, side effects may include unconsciousness and hypnosis.
No, Jovah, remember Catwoman. It turns your skin into marble.
I
Well, I just
contacted,
left Bolivia.
I contacted the government and they laughed in my face. Oh wait, they didn't.
That sounds like a possible code name for this game or something.
Yeah.
Time with human test subjects, all in a state of long-term hypnosis.
You devised that plan solely for the sake of your daughter.
Yep.
You're insane.
Yes. We acquired the land which had been laid to waste by the fire. The new town was slowly becoming populated.
And remember, again, considering who's in the charge of the government right now, it was pretty much easy to do all of this shit.
Gradually, the rules of Labyrinthia were established.
The only, the sad thing is that they mention the government, but we never get to confront the government about this. Like, that's the kind of crazy thing Ace Attorney would totally do as of Ace Attorney 5. But I digress.
All of this was possible thanks to the drug.
The test subjects were exposed to it. Through the ink used to pen the story, right?
Yeah, Phoenix said, let me need some more.
That's right. It was the dangerous drug developed by Newton.
Wait a minute, where did the Espella go?
She's off to the side.
She's out to the side.
She actually passed out again.
About 10 years have passed since then. Even now, the town continues to change.
Look, it's past her bedtime. The girl's feeling tired.
Also, they're really just using this one track for this entire sequence. Thank God it stopped.
I've tuned it out.
Yeah, like I've said.
I applaud it from using a new one, but intersperse it a bit.
Again. See, there's a
Oh,
Espella.
Project Labyrinthia.
Project Shadow.
And all this was done for one girl.
Yep.
Oh, so like Project Shadow. There you go.
Judge.
I was joking! Hey, she's blonde. She's also blonde.
Yep.
Espella was only able to be herself when she lived the story.
And her name has
Oh,
3
yeah,
syllables.
Then
She's not
it's also
dying, right?
connected.
One of the major songs is called I Am All of Me.
Only
Oh,
in a
boy.
world in which Bazilla was real could Espella's tragic memories be sealed.
You're not Bazella, you are all of you.
Does that mean Eve's going to shoot Espella?
All this while,
Oh, hail Arthur.
Yeah.
Eve was assisting me. So yeah, you had part in this, so don't act like I'm the only culprit in this.
Oh,
I
don't
did no
worry.
such
While
She
thing.
Eve
still has
takes a
her
sleep,
bits.
let's save the game briefly, I think. Oh, and I guess now it's a good time to eliminate the exclamation mark, Jovah, I guess.
I can, to be fair, I can relate to that.
Well, not in the recording. That's what editing is for.
I know, but I do it too, Theo. Like, even in recording, that's why I can't really comment on
I'm
it. I do
judging
this too.
both of you.
How judgmental of you. Come
Yes.
on.
Are you
Because I
secret?
get shit done instead.
Are you secretly a cat too?
No.
I'm just saying, you're
But I
sounding
checked,
judgy like a
My
cat.
spiritual animal is not that one.
I know. Your spiritual
Right,
animal's
right.
the one that gets eaten by cats.
I was the first shade.
Oh my
You already knew
god.
that.
So she poke evolved into the great high witch from that.
As soon as the story began, I disappeared from the scene.
So it was you doing all that stuff behind the scenes.
If Espella was to see some magic, then someone had to don this
It's
robe.
like that line used for the first Bioshock. Rapture might be the best utopia ever, but someone still has to clean the toilets.
Robe of invisibility.
That's sad, but not true.
I gave Espella new memories so that she could live in this town with everyone else.
Maybe in the future when we have self-cleaning toilets.
Well, people will start complaining the robots are taking our jobs.
I also sealed the memory of her friend Eve.
What?
And also of her mother, I guess. Never
Well,
brought up
as far as she
nowadays,
knew, her
okay.
mother was still dead.
Well, you think that they will try to seal that away or say, oh, she just left us.
Afterwards, I returned as Darklaw, a stranger to Espella.
A pretty cruel one at that, though she kinda has her
Again, very
reasons.
clear parallel in this case, the evil stepmother in this case.
Or stepsister. Unless you
Yeah.
ship Espella and Eve, which a lot of
Please
people
don't.
do. I mean, they're technically not even stepsisters at that. They're really good friends, which, as you can
It's
imagine.
more of a case of emotional connectivity and everything. It really feels a bit too, potentially a bit too skeevy. Like, consider what the game goes for.
You realize this is the same fan base that ships Phoenix and Edgeworth to high heaven, right?
Well, that again.
That's because that pairing makes sense.
And again, there's a total difference in terms of psychology of the characters.
Fair enough.
My father's knowledge of medicine was indispensable for this. Yeah, whatever.
Function, yeah.
The hallucinogenic ink was my father's work as well.
So yeah, again, there's also the fact that we get to do a lot of things from Belgium. A person that even died before the technically the main game starts.
This is actually in line with a lot of Ace Attorney games, so I'm cool with that.
I know, but it feels very crucial still.
Yeah.
Lieutenant E sacrificed more than anyone else for the sake of Espella. I will be forever indebted to them.
Just found another Adventure 2 connection, or kind of adjacent, people not recognizing Darklaw. Even though it's incredibly obvious.
Well, Shiro, in this case, Darklaw should not. Espella should be mistaken for Darklaw, and Darklaw should be considered guilty for that to work.
But then, there's still something I don't understand. Well, okay, there's quite a few things I don't understand, but let's talk about this one thing
Like,
right
why
now.
am I here? And why is this file still going?
Why, though?
Why were you trying to destroy this fake world?
Not just that, trying to actively kill Espella.
In the end, you chose to betray Espella and Mr. Cantabella.
Oh, but I've told you already, have I not?
No, you didn't. You
Well,
can just
try it
raise your
again.
pinky to
Wait.
your lips and say, "Oh, I'm so
Sure.
mysterious."
It was your revenge against Mr. Cantabella for choosing to end the story, correct?
Right, you did mention revenge, possibly a part
I
or two
wonder.
earlier.
Whether that was the true reason.
Oh, Professor, you mean we've got yet another twist coming?
Would Miss Belduke really betray them merely because she didn't want the story to end?
I will say this, despite my complaints of sometimes twists coming upon twists, one thing I'll give the ending is that while the twists do tend to get crazier and crazier, at the very least, I feel like they're paced well enough that they at least flow into each other as opposed to just feeling stacked on.
No need to frown in dismay, Mr. Wright. Please leave this to me.
Oh,
Like you've
sure,
done
why
everything else.
not? You already done it for most of his climax.
Pretty much.
Oh. Let's see what the Inquisition. Yeah, I guess Phoenix doesn't really do much in this ending.
Well, like I said, he does do stuff,
Now
but
it's only Layton presenting evidence at this point.
Yeah, what other reason?
Have a look.
Have a look.
Okay.
Is this some kind of puzzle, Inquisitor Layton?
It was intended as proof of your real motive and the betrayal. Oh, fuck.
And now you know why I do this to you.
I'd say you're a fine traitor yourself.
Funny,
Traitor!
considering everything.
You have betrayed the trust of the profusely sweating attorney over there.
Apt description.
I mean, it's hot in here. Oh,
I mean, Dwibbs, considering the suit he's wearing, Phoenix is kind of just Lee Evans right now.
don't worry, I was merely warming up.
Professor,
Just like that fire over
I'm just mentioning because we never actually really showed that
Turn
much
up
in
the
our
heat
runs.
on you, Inquisitor.
But
Be sure to
when,
present the correct evidence quickly.
when Layton actually fucks up one of the puzzles, he actually owns up to it instead of saying, "Oh, I was just warming up."
I guess this is a sign that Layton is technically out of his element in a court of law.
Not just that. Remember,
No love lost between the judge and Layton.
Remember, Teo. This is not Hino writing Layton. It's Takumi writing Layton. And as we've talked about throughout this game, Takumi sometimes has a bit of his interesting quirks when writing Layton dialogue. That's the thing.
Well, like I said, this is Layton outside of his element,
yeah,
so it
the
makes
suicide
sense
note.
here.
Or, this letter was Miss Belduke's real motive. What is this? I think I've seen it before.
Why,
went
yes,
to
Your
this
Honor.
judge. Yes, the other day actually.
That's the letter written by Mr. Belduke for Mr. Cantabella. It's also Mr. Belduke's suicide note. Go on,
My
Tio.
dear friend, I know. I hope you can forgive me for leaving this world of my own will.
But I blame you because you're stupid.
What I have done cannot be forgiven. I can never escape from it.
I fucked up.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Something was tormenting Mr. Belgic. It became too much for him to bear and drove him to suicide.
Don't get me wrong, Takumi really gets Layton, but there's the occasional moment here and there where I can tell it's somebody else writing him.
I get that, but I do feel like this is how Layton would react if he messed up in a field that's not familiar to him in that regard, especially given all the stuff that's riding on this trial, too.
Well, I'm not talking about just this climax, I'm talking about throughout the entire game.
That's fair.
But little did I know. He was suffering terrible anguish all that time.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt your fault.
And nobody noticed until it was too late.
Cantabella twisted the lives of so many people for...
His daughter.
Thank you. Was the story not but a glorified lie, stripping so many of what little happiness they had?
Though you two did agree to it.
Not just that, apparently all the ones who signed the contract, well, apparently that did not involve the children they would, create during the period of presentation there.
Which, like I said, adds a lot of questions, and I doubt that the kids who were brought in when they were kids were able to sign that contract, but we already talked about that in earlier parts.
His agony culminated in the incident of 3 months ago.
The thunderstrike that revealed the tower.
Mr. Belduke's death.
That too. Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
I remember it like it was an animated cutscene.
So again, just to wonder, did people accidentally bump into the tower?
That's... Somehow they did.
It's like the dumbest shit of the Enterprise being cloaked and the King over the Prey being cloaked in Star Trek 4.
Believe it or not, that bell tower is just the tip of the iceberg when you think about what people running into stuff.
Before Labyrinthia was created, certain things had to be concealed in order to seal Espella's memories.
Like the porno mags.
So, here's
Again, simply destroying the tower was not an option, I guess.
What? I know, right?
Go on.
Had she seen them, she would have remembered. They were simply too dangerous for her.
Yeah, the porno mags were just too dangerous for her.
He had them hidden in what he had them hidden in each book he made.
So just knock it down.
Espella's friend Eve had to be reborn as a shade and disappear into the forest. So I gave her a cat instead.
Of course.
I present you Miss Feline.
The next thing was the bell tower.
We could have knocked it down, but I see. Had she seen it, it would have been certain to stir up this.
I swear. Plot points like this really do convince me that we had a much different story, but they were too far along to change certain aspects. And one thing I'm guessing is that it involved the bell tower still being there, but again, it did not mesh with the story as they changed it to.
And then the judge is like, by the way, Miss Darklaw, could you tell the court where you hid those porno mags?
How could you? But how could you do that? By knocking it down, of course.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Using the same method as with this
just
robe.
use an
Okay.
expensive tarp.
Okay, better question. Okay, it's one thing to make people invisible, but how did you make it seem like they were seeing through it?
Also, you're telling me that the British government is not using this patented technology for military use.
Well, TL, the Storyteller kept some things to himself. Remember, they were just
Sure.
doing the whole mind control thing. An invisibility cloak wouldn't be evil enough.
You see, Teo, it's just like High Phantasmagoria 2. For some reason, nobody in the military was interested in talking to aliens. So...
What?
Sorry,
That
we don't
sounds
want to-
weird.
Sorry, we don't want to communicate with aliens. That's
It
boring.
makes just as
No
much sense
contact
with
for you.
context, Shiri.
Okay, if I may, one reason I really do deem this ending as the worst thing Ace Attorney has done, aside from what I mentioned earlier, I'm sorry, no Ace Attorney game has ever had this amount of details that just don't add up when you think about
Well,
them.
to me, this more attuned to the Layton twist event when it's a
True. And like I said, by Layton standards, this is kind of par of the course, saying magic didn't exist only to have an arguably even weirder technological solution.
Alright, again, I
being
want
said-
to save that for my final thoughts as well.
Right, yeah.
That being said, I will argue. Okay, you used Lost Future earlier. Like, Lost Future has that plot twist regarding that the London we're in is fake and all that shit. But that's it. That's the one major twist. That's it. This is literally multiple OG trilogy little
Yeah.
twists in just one game.
Lost
Like you
Future.
said, the
So-
major
so-
problem to me is not so much what the twist is, but the fact that it lacks supporting an actual connection to the events that have happened so far.
That too. My issue with Lost Future's twist is like, well, it's a very hard buy. That not only did the boy have that much money to make an entire London Underground, that nobody discovered that as well, but we've also mentioned stuff like the physics and infrastructure here and there. Again, it's just always been a pet peeve of mine with Layton that, again, I feel like they would be better off just admitting that some supernatural things do exist. Ace Attorney has shown that you can still have a mystery, even if supernatural things do exist.
Well, like I think I already told you in the past, Jovah, it's more of a relation to what the in-universe is considered supernatural. Like, it would be the same thing as deeming the magic of, say, a superhero universe supernatural, but at the same time there is a degree of sci-fi technology that is alien to us, but common in their universe. I think the Layton universe operates on the same premise.
I agree with that mostly until Azran Legacy kind of threw that argument out the goddamn window, but again,
you
we're not here
probably
to talk
read
about
more
that.
Silver Age comics.
Oh, no, trust me, look. I have read my first share of Silver Age comics, and you know what? I'm fine with it there. My thing is that this would be like if Silver Age comics constantly said, oh, there's no such thing as talking gorillas, ghosts, men who can juggle planets or
Again,
whatnot.
read more, Jovah. Dr. 13 is there for a reason.
Oh, yeah, I haven't read that one. Anyway, back to the story.
If you thought those people were being deceived, even though they signed the contract.
Uh-huh.
Father took his life because of you, Cantabella.
Which one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Her grudge was against the whole
She
Cantabella
wanted to punish the
lineage.
Storyteller by inflicting damage upon Espella. Which sounds to me like an admission of guilt. Huh?
Horrible.
You know, given Darklaw's plan here, I just want to point something out. Her plan would have been shot to hell if Layton had done just one thing differently. If he had asked the Storyteller back when he had an audience with him, why did you make your daughter Bezella? Like I mentioned earlier, one of two things would have happened. One, either the Storyteller would have gone, what? Would have denied it, and then he would have looked into things and discovered what Eve was doing. Or two, the Storyteller would have gone, wait, Espella? Okay, you know what? Pause, time out. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm actually Arthur of Labyrinth Incorporated. This has all been a big mistake. Now, could you please explain more to this about my daughter being Bezella? And there you go. That would have been the plan gone there.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's one thing I don't understand. Oh, okay, I do understand, but basically, yeah, my father died, so I'm gonna take it out on your daughter. And I'm like,
Okay, revenge is rarely
remember-
ever
not remember,
rash.
but
Sorry.
Taking revenge of someone by by essentially hurting those who are dear to them with lives. It's kind of what the Green Goblin does to Spider-Man.
The heart. First you attack the heart.
First, we attack the heart, Osborne.
Of course, it was all happening behind his back in that regard. That explains it. I couldn't help thinking there was something strange going on.
The neighborhood.
Like, why would the storyteller be this much of a dick to his father that he was... Sorry, to his daughter that he was trying to help? Mr. Cantabella is Espella's father, after all. He wouldn't have made Espella a witch in his story, let alone one that's supposed to help her.
Espella was... a witch? When did that happen?
Yeah, you have a lot to catch up.
Oh boy.
Did somebody rewrite my story?
How about
You need to
that?
take better care of it.
How could you have known after all?
It's
Yes,
too
but-
Darklaw.
It's Eve.
Let me fill you in on the details. Espella has already been tried once within the Witch's Court, and my
can
name
we
is
talk-
Eve.
Can we talk about that? That one ended with Kira accusing Espella of being the Great Witch. How did she knew that?
My guess is that Darklaw penned that into Kira's story.
Impossible. Why? How could you?
Oh, okay.
You knew the risk that would carry.
Now keep in mind, all that has happened somehow went according to Darklaw's plan.
That includes Phoenix thwarting said trial.
Look at you. What a fine author of that grand story you are. You left all the work in Labyrinthia to me. Meanwhile, you were making millions for yourself in London. But the storyteller's line, like, I will still argue that he is a neglectful father because he didn't know this was happening.
Oh yeah,
He
no.
oversees this.
And Darklaw
He
just
oversees
said,
this town as like the head of
There you
the
go, go ahead.
experiment.
Jerry, read this.
What a pathetic excuse for a father. You didn't
There you
even
go.
notice that your precious little Espella was in such danger.
Although,
He has a point.
Okay, so to be fair, the story...
She kind of has a point.
So,
That-
to be fair, the story is aware how much of a shit father he is.
Mhm.
again,
He's
though,
not as bad as we thought, but he's still bad.
like I mentioned though, if Layton and Luke had just mentioned that Espella was Bazella during their meeting with him, that
Also,
probably
you
would have been
wouldn't know
Darklaw's
anything about
plan.
neglectful fathers, would you, Layton?
Ha!
Okay.
Double roasting.
I did it to unlock her memories.
Oh god, the chain of memories. You mean...
When the legendary fire took place, Espella was so traumatized that she closed herself off to the world.
Again, we have seen what happens in Xenogears, so this is actually legit.
We were just girls then. That tragic incident was too much for us to handle.
You seem to be doing surprisingly
Since my-
well, all things considered.
Well,
And since-
maybe
and
she's
since
just
my
more
father-
good at hiding.
And since my father died before he could tell anyone, nobody knows where the porno mags are now.
Also, Darklaw is very obviously emotionally stunted. She is not okay. This fictitious town was created,
As a facade.
Sorry.
but the weight of all these lies led my father to his suicide.
And almost twice the butler that he was having.
Yep. Poor Jean.
Despite that, the person responsible for all this carried on as if nothing had happened.
Yeah, we want to talk about people who did nothing wrong? Jean. Though granted again, that's all part of the experiment as per the government's requests.
I couldn't forgive him. Oh yeah, the government don't care about people dying. As Belduke's bereaved daughter.
Bereaved? Okay, this term is a bit unknown to
Like
me.
grieving.
Okay.
I had to have my revenge against both Cantabellas.
Let's
I'm sorry, Storyteller, but this is
Ah,
why
yes.
Metal Gear Rising Revenge.
Yes, revenge, the most worthless of causes.
We really
Again, counter for Gravity Falls, revenge is severely underrated.
You know, we should watch Camelot at some point.
I
Judge,
prefer
this is the
Excalibur.
whole truth. Now you know the true identity of Bazella.
Oh, I love the Excalibur movie.
Oh, everyone wants to get a shawarma?
Objection.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
He likes hearing his own voice.
I love a storyteller's pose there.
You say this is the whole truth, but is that really the case?
Layton, enough.
Just when you
Um,
think it's
actually-
over, then Professor Layton's theme plays.
What are you going on about now?
How much
There you go.
do you want
I
to
don't know.
drag this shit on?
I'm kind of with Darklaw on a lot of this, except for, you know, her murder plans.
You've been provided with a clear picture of what happened to Espella so long ago.
What's that, Darklaw? Was this not also according to your masterful plan?
Nevertheless, we haven't yet heard your testimony.
Oh.
Yeah, we haven't had an actual trial testimony in a while, which again continues to prove the pointlessness of the trial.
Like I said, it's one of my biggest frustrations here. It goes from being an exciting trial to more or less just an extended Layton
Go ahead,
sequence.
please.
This will be the last testimony in this trial. Tell us about the night of the legendary
This will
fire.
be the last testimony, we swear.
I don't believe you.
I request that you tell us your story.
This'll be the last trial, I swear. This'll be Sakurai's last Smash game, I swear.
This will be Hayao Miyazaki's last movie.
Damn it.
This will be the final Metal Gear game, guys. I swear.
I'm merely one of the supporting characters within this tale, though more one than Mr. Wright over there.
Is
You're
that
more like
meta?
You're more like a self-insert, Layton. A Gary Stew, if you would.
Edwebs, I swear, Spirited Away will be my last movie. I fucking swear.
Thanks, Alfred Castle.
You know, just once, I'd like to see how past Hayao Miyazaki would react to future Hayao Miyazaki coming in and calling him a liar.
Knowing him, Jovah, he'll probably hate himself because he hates everybody. Might as well hate himself. Okay, to be fair, Jovah, even he himself kind of admitted that he hates himself. Kind of.
Dude, that's
But
not
guys,
healthy.
Again, there shouldn't be any testimony. This isn't even a bloody court.
Look,
This will be
Quill,
my last movie. The
remember,
entire
Shirai.
population of Japan rolls their eyes.
Remember, Shiro, it's best to just take Hayao Miyazaki as a rambling senile old man who's he just doesn't have
Yes,
it in him
Grandpa,
anymore.
I'll take your mans.
Dad, stop stealing my jokes.
He's also not the best father, given now he
Maybe
is.
Jova had a point. Maybe I should change my spirit animal. Anyway,
This is very fun.
the end approaches. Actually, we're actually very close to the end of the game. Believe it or not. Thank God, this thing has been going on for way too long. So tune in for the next part, and we see where this leads. I guess.
See you
See ya.
then.
See ya.
See ya.